A local doctor accused of sexually assaulting patients. He's worked at several hospitals and clinics around our region over the last decade and is still practicing here in Northwest Arkansas. In this KNWA investigation, we break down the claims brought against Dr. Adam Moss.
I feel I was touched in an indecent way.
Thyroid issues led this woman to Dr. Adam Moss in March of 2021. An endocrinologist and partner with Main Street Medical Associates in Cave Springs.
It was gut-wrenching, disgusting.
She's referring to an exam he conducted on her that she says violated her. It was her first time seeing this type of specialist, and she took her concerns to Facebook.
There were quite a few women that messaged me stating that this also happened to them.
Her post prompted 2 other women to come forward with what they say happened at the hands of Dr. Moss. All 3 complained to the Arkansas State Medical Board. One said she saw him in 2011 for hormone-related issues when he worked at Mercy Hospital in Rogers, writing, quote, "He put his hand up my shirt, moved my bra away from my breast, and fondled them." Another said during her 2010 appointment, he didn't warn her he was going to expose her breasts. These complaints, not the first to be filed against Moss with the State Medical Board.
This should have stopped 15 years ago.
A woman came forward in 2007 saying Dr. Moss inappropriately examined her while practicing at Lowell Medical Center. She filed a police report and formal complaint with the State Medical Board. Medical board members reviewed her claim in 2008, but did not discipline Moss, ruling the complaint, quote, did not rise to the level of gross negligence or ignorant malpractice, which is required for disciplinary action to be taken under the Arkansas Medical Practices Act. But in August 2021, after 3 additional complaints, the medical board did suspend his license, saying the claims against him make him a danger to the public. During his suspension, another 3 women came forward, bringing the total formal complaints against Dr. Moss to 7. Moss underwent 6 weeks of treatment at a professional renewal center, then appeared before the board on December 2nd, 2021. In that meeting, he explained why he felt his exams were misinterpreted.
I think there's a degree with which no matter what I would have explained to them, it was outside of what their expectations were.
But medical board chair Dr. Sylvia Simon questioned the medical necessity of those exams since they weren't in the patient's charts.
And if they were medically appropriate exams and then you do not include the results of that exam, then to us as peers reviewing that, it makes us wonder why you did an exam that you didn't think you needed to document results of.
The medical director of the Arkansas Medical Foundation, Dr. Bradley Diner, says Moss's actions can be attributed to a lack of boundaries.
The important issue here really was that though his contact with female patients may have been inappropriate, it was not for sexual gratification.
Dr. Diner says the issue can be remedied through a 5-year monitoring contract Moss entered into with the Medical Foundation, in addition to the rehabilitation he's already received.
I definitely have. I've learned a lot through the process. I've spent the last 18 years caring for patients, and none of my actions in managing these patients were outside of medical necessity.
Despite 2 voting against, the board reinstated Moss's license, allowing him to practice once again.
We felt we were done wrong in the way his license was given back.
It's an outcome the women strongly feel would have been different had they been able to share what they say Moss did to them in front of the board, which is why this victim says she's making herself heard now.
Victimizing women because you hold a medical license is wrong. Everyone deserves respect. Patients trust you to treat them the way they should be treated.
As part of the 5-year monitoring contract, Dr. Moss has several stipulations he must follow now that he's allowed to practice once again. He must provide a physical exam consent form to be signed by all new and existing patients, meet with a mentor who provides monthly reports to the medical board, take part in continued education, submit to quarterly polygraphs, among other requirements. Now, you must know many of Moss's victims have since taken their complaints to local law enforcement. Both the Cave Springs and Johnson police departments confirm they have criminal investigations into Dr. Moss, which have since been turned over to the prosecutor. Dr. Moss's attorney declined a request to comment on this story. The Cave Springs doctor is facing a felony sex assault charge. Today, Cave Springs police arrested this man, Dr. Adam Moss, an endocrinologist, on 1 count of sexual assault in the 2nd degree. We spoke with the prosecutor who brought the charge against Dr. Moss and a woman who says she was victimized by him. From running a doctor's office to sitting in a jail cell, Dr. Adam Moss now behind bars. The endocrinologist and partner with Main Street Medical Associates in Cave Springs was arrested by Cave Springs police Tuesday on 2nd-degree sexual assault, a Class B felony.
Any case we arrest and prosecute, we believe that the evidence supports that charge, that we have proof beyond a reasonable doubt. That is the case here as well.
Benton County Prosecuting Attorney Nathan Smith says his office has spoken with at least 12 women who say Moss inappropriately touched them while conducting medical exams.
We've looked at documentary evidence, personnel records, things like that, as well as talking to multiple other women who have come forward to tell their stories as well.
In reviewing medical records, prosecutors found Moss had not documented the breast exams he performed on the patients who'd come forward.
I hope that the trauma stops here and no other women are assaulted.
This woman is one of 7 who filed formal complaints against Dr. Moss with the Arkansas State Medical Board, with claims dating all the way back to 2007.
This is something that some of us has been fighting for 15 years.
Board members suspended his license in August 2021, but reinstated it just a few months later in December.
When his license is taken away, that's when we feel that justice was served.
Now that Moss has been arrested, this woman feels that victims' voices are finally being heard.
The mission of our office is to fight for justice in every case, to speak for victims, and we're going to do that in this case as well.
If convicted, Smith says Moss faces between 5 to 20 years in prison.
People have to understand how many women's lives that have been torn apart by this injustice. We will live with this trauma forever.
His accusers ready to take the stand if the case against Moss goes before a jury, in hopes they'll impose the maximum sentence.
Arrest isn't enough. We're just going to have to fight harder.
Smith says Moss will remain in the Benton County Jail until he faces a judge tomorrow who will decide if he gets bond. Now, Washington County does also have an open criminal investigation into Dr. Moss. Prosecutor Matt Duritz says his office will likely have a decision on whether to bring charges against him by the end of the week. We have reached out to Dr. Moss's attorney, who's declined to comment on his behalf. Now, we have done extensive reporting on the allegations into Dr. Moss. Just last Wednesday, we found out he closed his Cave Springs practice. You can read that story as well as hear more from his victims over on our website, knwa.com. Sex trafficking. You may think it's something that only happens in big cities, but it's happening here. In this KNWA special report, you'll hear from a local woman who narrowly escaped her traffickers and how the FBI is working to tackle the issue in our region. We do want to warn you, you may find some of what you're about to hear disturbing.
The scars of it never really go away.
Years have passed since Jessica says she was sex trafficked, but her trauma from that time still feels fresh.
For years, I was still so broken and so hurt and so damaged, and I just felt so worthless and unvaluable.
She met her first trafficker online at 16. Then over the course of the next 2 years, she was trafficked by 3 different men. Jessica says her abusers got her addicted to drugs.
Lowers your inhibitions. It makes you very easy to control. The withdrawals and dependency on drugs means that you have to keep coming back to them or you're going to get sick. They don't even consider you to have the value of having life. You're literally just an object to sell and to make money off of.
Living in survival mode, she faced regular beatings.
He would put a shock collar for my dog on me and put a padlock on it to where I couldn't scream when he had me in motel rooms trafficking me.
It wasn't until she was almost killed by one of her traffickers that she was finally able to flee the abuse. But the pain remains.
They had created all this trauma in my life, and they showed me the only solution is the drugs and the men, and so it took me years to beat that addiction.
Mom, smell them. They smell good. Oh, that smells good.
It's now been about 8 years since Jessica was trafficked. The single mother of 2 spends her time working with other survivors who found freedom.
I volunteer with a local organization called Hub of Hope.
The Northwest Arkansas-based organization aims to provide healing and opportunities to survivors of human trafficking. Since 2017, Hub of Hope has worked with 150 people affected by human trafficking and sexual exploitation, ranging in age from 18 to 64. Another organization that serves our region, Into the Light, has worked with more than 280 people since 2015, some as young as 11 years old. The Western Arkansas Child Exploitation Task Force was established to get these traffickers off our streets.
One of the goals of our group is to make sure that people understand what trafficking looks like, and then as we've been effective at that, we end up getting more reporting back to us.
FBI Special Agent Brennan Despain says that means working closely with police and deputies who are regularly out in communities.
The majority of our cases has come from referrals from local law enforcement, so I think that the proof is in the pudding.
Like in the case of catching trafficker Corey Glenn.
That case in particular, it epitomized the way the FBI and local law enforcement collaborate together.
The FBI was tipped off that Glenn was running a prostitution ring in Rogers in 2018. Agents worked with Rogers police to raid the home. Inside a closet under a pile of clothes, they found a 17-year-old victim.
She was angry with us. She epitomized the brainwashed young teen.
Glenn's currently serving a 75-year prison sentence. With children and teens often the victims of trafficking, in 2021, Arkansas lawmakers harshened the penalties traffickers can face.
When you're trafficking a victim, it is now a Y felony, which is one of the more severe felonies in the state of Arkansas. It's punishable up to life in prison.
That same year, the Western Arkansas Child Exploitation Task Force conducted 67 child exploitation investigations in our area and served more than 70 warrants for crimes against children.
I'm just so proud that they are getting arrested and they are getting busted every day, because that just proves that the police are taking it serious and they are trying to be proactive on it.
And Jessica's being proactive too. She's pursuing a degree to become a licensed clinical social worker.
I specifically want to give women who have been sex trafficked free therapy.
Her trauma inspiring her path forward.
My real purpose of going through it was to help other people.
To help other victims become survivors and heal.
I want to spend the rest of my life utilizing my pain and suffering to be able to help free other women.
If you or someone you know is being trafficked, there is help out there. Head to KNWA.com where we've compiled a full list of resources available for you locally. And also check out our social media for a message from Jessica, who speaks directly to those who may need a nudge to seek help. It's a really, really powerful message you'll want to see. An Arkansas foster child who's differently abled is looking for a patient family to adopt him. Meet Hayden in this month's Finding a Family.
I know a lot about bacon.
With 2 eggs, some oil, a little water, and of course the chocolate chip-filled mix, Hayden whips up a batch of brownies.
And then scrape the side all right there. There you go.
His time in the kitchen serves as a distraction from all the years he's lived in foster care.
It's been kind of up and down.
At 14 years old, he can't even remember a time when he didn't live in the system.
I like to do it even.
Hayden was born with hearing loss.
I can kind of read lip. I can kind of hear. Yeah, I can I still do a little bit of dining.
He can be a little difficult to understand.
He doesn't let his disability enable him from moving forward and from doing things that other kids are doing. And he doesn't let him, it doesn't hold him back.
His love for baking, though, speaks for itself.
You can't make brownies without licking the spoon.
Oh, is that what Honesta does?
Yep.
I bake.
Gotta lick the spoon. Is it good?
Lick test approved. Into the oven the brownies go. And Hayden waits.
There we go. Now press start.
Much like he's waited all this time for a family to welcome him into their home and into their kitchen. His recipe for a perfect family?
The good family is love, respect, kindness. Yeah, all so important things. I like to understand people and relate to them.
The right mix of patience and compassion.
They have to be very basic. Sometimes I will get like frustrated and stuff.
If there is a family out watching, that they, really pray about it and think about it, and don't let his disabilities make you think you can't do it.
With a big dose of love, the same amount Hayden baked into these brownies.
I just want to be bombing at home.
You have less than an hour to donate to the Cancer Challenge's annual One Day, One Night, One Region, One Fight telethon. Our Chelsea Helms is live in Rogers with us again for more on how your donations can make an impact. Chelsea, how much money have we raised so far?
Chad, believe it or not, we are just $10,000 away from reaching our goal. So hopefully as soon as we get done with this live hit, we will hear those phones ringing off the hook. A lot of ringing has been going on in here. And it's for a good cause. It's to raise money to better our cancer care in Northwest Arkansas. I actually met a 3-time cancer survivor earlier who's been cancer-free for more than 14 months. His name is Trent Burke, and he was telling me a little bit about the care that he's been able to receive in the community as a result of the Cancer Challenge. And he said this has been such a big deal because doctors told him he should be dead by now.
It's meant for me that I had a place to go and quality people to help me get through my journey. I use the yoga programs, and I also have my personal counselor that has been with me on the journey the entire way. 14 months cancer-free. Yeah, baby.
Love how enthusiastic he is, and we are cheering from him too. Yeah, baby, it is awesome that you are cancer-free. We're going to talk with Teresa Burke now. She's the executive director of the Cancer Challenge. What is it like to hear from real patients in our community who are receiving, life-saving care as a result of the Cancer Challenge?
It is it's amazing. We have such wonderful people that we collaborate with. As he mentioned, many of those services he received right here at Hope Cancer Resources through some programs that we help fund. They're doing amazing work. You heard earlier from Community Clinic, also another group that we partner with and try to fund as much as we can. So with today, just the generous community giving that we've received, we will be able to grow these programs, give more, be able to help more people, and so it's just very exciting.
And Teresa, I know that we were doing a board match on behalf of the Cancer Challenge, $30,000. We've met that goal.
We just exceeded that, so we have matched dollar for dollar. So $60,000 in giving today from our community is amazing. We're so excited.
It is incredible. And as you can see, our thermometer upwards of 70,000 at this point. So we got to make it get up to 80,000. That is our goal, and we want to surpass that goal. So look at the bottom of your screen, call that number, text that number, scan the QR code, and please, if you can, donate. Less than an hour left of the Cancer Challenge Telethon.